Yes.
William Burroughs, right? Yeah.
The guy who wrote Tarzan.
William S. Burroughs.
True.
Yeah.
Yes, he wrote
Not
Tarzan.
true. Confusing Burroughs.
That's what Naked Lunch means.
What if that's season 3? What if we just go out of our way to spread disinformation?
Or was William S. Burroughs a television writer? Now I'm confused.
Yeah, he was a TV reporter. Always smoked cigarettes.
No, you're doing. Oh, Tim. I'm going to no butt you so hard this episode because I'm mad at you.
It's Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, Mr. Party Pants, too.
Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. Just like the song says, we're going to make up some revenge sequels to this movie we just watched and have let me get the wild card question out of the way.
All right.
Because we asked, who from this movie would be most likely to do something? This week, number 5, who from this movie will most likely lead a protest? Man. George just wants to talk about the movie already.
Yeah.
No. Well, actually, I will in a sense. I want anyone in this entire recording studio that we're in, name 3 characters from this movie.
Nani Maki?
Pagan Woman 1, Pagan Woman 2, Pagan Woman 3, Pagan Woman 4, Pagan Woman 5, Pagan Woman 6, Pagan Woman 7, Pagan Woman 8, Pagan Woman 9, Pagan Woman 10, and Pagan Woman 11.
You forgot Pagan number 12.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that's going to be. I mean, this is the material we have to work with this week.
I started just making up names for him, like haiku.
You know how like week after week I'll have multiple pages of notes.
Yeah,
This is a visual aid, so I'm also going to say it. My notes for this were 2 lines.
Oh, you could put that on an index card.
It was Pagan Island and the name beneath Nani Maka. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, George.
Yes, Tim.
I'm going to ask John how his week was. Or if anything
John,
happened,
how was your week?
that he wanted to talk about.
Uneventful. Although my mother bought a new car, a Subaru Cross Truck. I think is the make of it or the model of it.
Truck?
And it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got she's never had a backup camera before. It's got the backup camera.
Oh,
and we're
nice.
and she goes, let's go out to lunch, and I'm going to pick you up because I want you to ride in my new car. I'm like, okay, sure. She's real proud of this car. It is a neat car.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's got the feature, like if you veer off into like the lane or onto the shoulder, it'll alert you that you're. And she's like, right. Here, let me show you. And if I'm like swerving out of the lane and she like swerves under the shoulder and it doesn't go off, she's like, well, wait a second here. And then she swerves off again and it's still not going off. And finally, the 3rd time she swerved and it went off. But I'm like, Jesus Christ, Mom, what are you trying to do? Kill us? They're going to think you're drunk, these people behind you. Jesus Christ, what the hell is wrong with you?
Does it have a voice like Kit?
No, it does not have a voice like Kit, but it has Sirius XM radio. And it's got 4 months free. And you know damn well my mom loves it. Like she's like, oh, and it's got this channel and this channel, but it's 4 months free. And I know as soon as they tell her, and I don't know how much Sirius XM costs a month or a year, but I know as soon as they tell her, she's going to say, no, I'm not going to get it. So that'll be right around her birthday. So I'm thinking that might be the birthday present I get her, is to buy her a subscription to Sirius Radio.
Does she like to listen to Howard Stern?
No, she was listening to the 80s with you remember the old VJs like Nina Blackwood and Alan Hunter? Yeah. They're like all the DJs now on the 80s station. And my God, Nina Blackwood, I thought everybody thought she was so smoking hot. And she like talks like this now.
Oh, no.
My mother's like, what happened to her voice? I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I'm going to guess about 1,000 packs of Marlboro would be my first guess.
Some cocaine, 80s.
Yeah.
Is Martha Quinn on it?
I don't know. All I heard so far was Nina. As I was holding on to dear life as we were swerving onto the shoulder so my mother could show me the feature, I only heard those 2. Like Nina Blackwood was on when we went to lunch, and when we got out from lunch, Alan Hunter was on. So
I have another question regarding your mom. There's been no updates on the status of your stepfather's tombstone. How's that scrubbing going?
I think it's
for previous listeners. A famous
two-time Tony Award choreographer Tommy Walsh is buried 2 graves down from my stepfather, where my mother will be buried one day. And two-time Tony Award winning choreographer Tommy Walsh's sister, for Valentine's Day, decided to spray paint hearts on his stone with metallic red spray paint. Some of it was windy. It was February. Some of it blew onto my stepfather's stone. I got most of it off. I'm going to be honest with you. It really hasn't been that nice weather-wise the last couple, 6 weeks. We've had a couple days around 70. We had a couple days around 80. Luckily, my mother needed to clean up her yard because Tim's been to my mom's house. So we did a bunch of yard work. I got the big vines off the barn. I got all the plots. I got them all weeded and tilled. So I'm assuming that everything must be okay, or I would have heard something.
Okay.
All right. I just wanted to keep, on top of this pressing story.
Yeah.
And I knew our listeners would definitely.
NBC Rahima Ellis is at the scene right now, George. Let's throw it over to Rahima.
Hi, I'm standing here in the middle of a random cemetery. Metallic spray paints everywhere. I'm huffing it.
That was unexpected.
Wait, that's what I want Seddy Bimco to become. Tim offering commentary on our antics. Well, I didn't expect that to happen. Takes a sip. Yep. On to the next event.
With my story.
Tim, did you do anything this week that was exciting? Did your dog shit any unusual shapes?
Yeah.
Also call back to previous episode.
I thought I was going to catch up with our pal Chris and play trivia, and I left it up to fate because I said the bus comes, I'll get there in time. But I waited 5 minutes, the bus didn't come. So that's the commitment to a cause that we're looking for. That's my commitment to our friend Chris.
I gave it 5 minutes. It wasn't happening.
Wait, this is a test. Shout out to our friend Chris. This is a test to see if you really listen. If you were listening, send us an email, Chris.
Oh, no, he's pissed that Tim didn't show up. He's never listening to this podcast again. I wouldn't. I'd be sitting at trivia going, where the hell is he? And then you just send him a text. I waited for the bus for 5 minutes and decided to give up. He waited for the bus for 5 minutes? What the hell? No, Chris is no longer listening to Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. Trust me on this.
If in fact he ever did.
He's got children and he's busy.
But people with children should definitely not listen to this show because it contributes to low sperm count.
That's true.
Oh, I guess they've already got the children though, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe if you already have children, you don't want to have any more.
Right.
Start listening to 2 episodes of Seddy Bimco a day. There's a rich back history.
Yeah. And speaking of children, I thought watching this, was this movie considered a nudie cutie, Tim?
I think so.
I don't know because I thought, oh dear. Then I got really concerned. I was like, ooh, maybe this movie will turn me straight. So if anybody with children out there and you think your child is gay and you think that maybe plopping them down in front of a movie could be a cheaper option than sending them to gay conversion therapy camp, this is not the movie. I'm just going to say that.
No?
So you're still gay. This didn't make you...
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, God. In fact, I may be a little gayer, but we'll get into that when we start talking about the opening scene.
Well, actually, that is a segue I want to talk. No, Tim, you're going to say something inane. I'm taking control.
No.
When the guy gets to the island.
I did not get to finish my story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim.
Story?
I'm so sorry. I was so outraged for Chris that he only waited 5 minutes for the bus. I am so sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Finish
the rest of the story.
I got to get across the street from the bus. I said, we need bananas. I'm going to buy bananas. And my wife is on a business trip. And then
this is Tim's brag, everybody.
And down the block, I stopped at a bar that we often eat at. And I went and had a drink.
Can I interrupt really quickly? Just picture Tim Hamilton walking into a bar with a bunch of bananas. It's fucking bizarre. It's a power move, but it's weird.
Yeah.
I was hoping somebody at the bar would say, "Are those bananas?" And I'd say, "Yes, we have no bananas today."
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Get out. The podcast is over.
Or somebody says to you, "Is that a banana? Or are you just happy to see me?" You'd be like, "No, it's a banana."
So,
What, I can't hear you. Got a banana in my ear. What? Let's not let him finish this story.
No, this is a good story.
No, it's not.
I sit down with my bananas to have a drink. And as I've told John before, this is a place where we often bring my dog. I sit outside while Jean goes in to pay the bill. And twice I've been like, "You were in there 20 minutes. What took so long?" And she said, Alec Week, who is a fashion model, lives in our neighborhood, very famous fashion model. She was in there, and my wife was talking to her, and I've never met her. So when I was sitting there with my bananas at the bar, that's who sat next to me. It's very nice, very chatty. But she was like, "Oh, I like your bananas. Those look like good bananas." And I'm like, "Yeah, I eat them. We eat them every morning with our oatmeal." And she's like, "Yes, bananas are good for you." And she gave me a fist bump. And then there was a woman behind me, and she said, "Oh, is that your wife? What do you think it was bananas?" And the woman says, I don't like bananas." And she was like, not even smiling at our our chatter.
Oh, people are such buzzkills.
I know, but that was about it.
Did you peel the banana and put it behind that lady so when she got up, she would come and fall down in front of everybody?
Did you offer fashion model Alex Week at least a banana? I think maybe she was hinting, like, boy, I'd like a couple of those bananas. She might have been suffering from a potassium deficiency or something. She's like, "Man, I need some bananas. Quick." Like, that's
why she fainted a few minutes later.
Maybe if I'm nice to this guy, maybe even if I fist bump him and say something like potassium, and he'll offer me maybe 2 bananas, and you didn't.
Maybe she meant something different by banana. Tim, you should have shown her your prowess by inserting the banana into your mouth sideways.
She's
you can tilt it up so it looked like you were smiling, or tilt it down so it looked like you were frowning.
She's a very nice lady. That's all I'll have to say. Very chatty, very friendly. That's it. That's just my brag.
Oh, well, there you go. No, that was a good story. The banana made this story. But I'm thinking that in Brooklyn, walking in, I'm going to say, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and give a statistic. I'm going to say you walk into a bar or a coffee house or somewhere with a bunch of bananas. I'm going to guess 75 people are not going to react. 75% of the people are not going to react. Like, they're going to be like, "Oh, a guy with bananas." Yeah, like you do.
Well, can I tell my story this week?
Certainly, George. We won't interrupt you.
Wait, Tim is though. Tim's like, "No, I want to tell my fucking banana story."
I'm saying the highlight of my story was not waiting 5 minutes to go hang out with Chris. So anyway, I want to point that out. Okay, right. George, what's your story?
It was my girlfriend's birthday, and I took her to a speakeasy magic show. It was full of drama and intrigue and humor, but it's too long to get into this. Let's just talk about this dumb movie you made us watch. Pagan Island.
Are you trying to make us beg you to tell us the story?
Nah, I'm not going to tell it under any circumstances. Pagan Island. Let's talk about this.
Hey, I'm going to read the synopsis every week.
Oh, good.
You try to read one.
It's pretty deep on this one.
Yeah.
You can never tell a synopsis in one sentence.
I don't need to. I'm painting a picture with my words.
Pagan Island.
When you're doing movies about werewolves or yetis, and sometimes werewolves and yetis in one movie, there's a lot of nuance that needs to be captured.
Well, George, let me stop you. Werewolves and like about 3 minutes of yeti. Let's. I hate to keep bringing up that sore spot, but.
I agree. That was bad. Here's the plot of this movie.
No,
stiff Nimrod washes up on an island of topless women, murders a bunch of people, steals stuff from their island, and then the lady dies. That's it. It's terrible.
All right. Well, if you have an email, send it to us at Seddy Bimco with an E at gmail.com. I picked a movie for next week. It's called.
Dear God, I put together a prayer circle that whatever movie you pick is not like about Hitler or Charles Mason. Not Charles Manson.
Charles Mason. The murder of the Mason jar.
He was the jar guy. Yeah, exactly.
Dean or somebody real.
There's a story there.
Oh, wait, it is actually kind of funny. We all have kind of lapsed into like sort of ruts for our stuffs. Like, John, you're definitely exploring the deeper side of our psyches with different mass murderers. I tend to stick to, as we mentioned, werewolves and yetis. And Tim goes through these bizarre fucking 1960s semi-nudie cutie weird-ass shit that no one in the world's ever seen. All right, Tim, give us a synopsis. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop being an insurrectionist. Tell us about Pagan Island.
The survivor of a shipwreck finds himself on an island populated only by women.
Yep.
See? Easy.
That's it? That's all you got?
That's all I got.
That's all you got.
This is the part of the show where people listening can be like, yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
Let's turn it off. What's happening on Freddy versus Spaghetti?
Or Spaghetti and Yetis.
So,
anyway, Louise Down, I just want to point out, Louise Down, she was a co-writer of She Devils on Wheels, and she is one of the Pagan girls. I could not figure out which one, but she is in this movie.
Neither could I.
Was she the big one who was in just that brief scene?
The one attempt at humor.
That one corn-fed gal. It was like literally in like 3 seconds.
I don't think that was her.
When they were,
it could have been. I really don't know what.
No, she actually had a name. She was one of the two. I think she was the non-exotic looking one in the beginning of one of the 3 that found her. Like, no, there was like some of them who were like obviously like some sort of Asian Pacific Islander or whatever their descent was, and then there were others who were like, "Now you look like you're from Toledo," and she looked like she was from Toledo, so I'm going to guess that was she.
Tim, can you give us a scene-by-scene breakdown so we have something to talk about in our revenge sequels?
Yes. Don't worry.
Please, just give us something. George. I need a detail to cling on to. Aside, this movie, everybody, had 3 5-minute sequences, 3 separate 5-minute sequences of the guy drinking out of a coconut, watching a woman hula dance.
Stanton.
This happens 3 fucking times.
His name is Stanton.
The real actor, the actor's name was William Dew, which I thought was funny.
Edward.
Oh, whoops! But his last name is Dew, which is funny.
D-E-W.
Our movie starts out. A classical.
Wait, before you start, can I just make a comment? Can I just make a comment about Edward Dew as William Stanton?
Yeah, sure.
Apparently, at this point, like I read his bio, he was born in 1909. He was like 52 years old when this movie got made. He looked pretty damn good, unless this is a typo. Unless this is a typo on IMDb.
Yeah.
Huh.
That seems
Or
impossible.
this was like lost media, like every film Tim finds, and it was like left filmed and disregarded for 20 years, and somebody found it in a bucket.
I think John, he has a lot of Neanderthal DNA. That's why he looks so good.
Is that what separates us mere mortals from you people?
If you squint just right at Tim, he looks a lot like Stanton. So I think Tim is this guy. I think Tim just has to hide his identity every few years.
This movie starts out classical storytelling trope. Not trope. We start at the end where there's this man and a woman in a life raft. They seem to have been out there for days, even though they're not sunburned at all. They're not, no chapped lips.
They say 8 days, later.
He looks great. They pick them up.
She looks especially good considering she's dead.
Yes, they pick
for
them
8
up.
days.
The woman's dead. Captain says, the captain's got an eye patch, even though he's looking through binoculars.
You could. wouldn't a telescope have sufficed? Exactly. It's like, do you really need the binoculars, Captain?
That's fun.
Get a spyglass.
That's funny.
Spyglass. That's what they call those little telescopes. Those little retractable. And may I just say, so first of all, I'm like kind of dreading about watching this movie because the description you gave us last week was like, this guy gets washed up on this island with all these like scantily clad women. And I was like, oh my God. But then suddenly I'm like showing some interest in this movie because it's like, there's this guy and he's got a pretty good body and he's just in these tight white pants on this raft, gets pulled out of the raft by 2 sailors, also very well built in tight white pants, and I'm like, oh boy! And then when he comes to, and they say, well, what's your name? He's like, my name is William Stanton. I'm from San Francisco. I'm like, oh boy! But
see, and I'm going to add to this.
The whole story.
He keeps asking, "Where's the men? Where's the men?" And I was like, "This could have. This could have gone
either way. He would have had just a good time if he had washed up on an island full of men. I have a feeling.
I think so. He was pretty easygoing about everything, as we'll see, because there's going to be a sacrifice of this girl he likes.
Tim, take us through. Come on, spill out this plot.
You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead.
No, I'm not. We're literally in the first 3 minutes of this movie, and we're like 20 minutes in. We need to move faster.
We've been recording for 3 hours and 24 minutes, and we still haven't gotten to the...
Stanton really puts on a show with his acting skills, talking about everything that happened to him. And we go back to him washing up on the island. He's telling these sailors his story. And he meets some women who, like John said, they just look like white women. I don't know, from Wisconsin or Minnesota. George, stay with us.
It's the only accent. It's the only accent Tim's nailed so far in about a season and a half of Seddy Bimco. Tim has nailed one accent, and it's Minnesota.
I could do Irish.
You know what? Tell me what you can do. Yeah, Kappa. I'm not gonna do anything for you. You see, Kappa. I bet you could pull that off.
All right, I'm taking over because Tim's just dropping. All right.
No, wait.
I know this is an important detail to mention.
No, this is an important detail. When those women meet him,
yeah.
First of all, they can speak English. They just don't understand any particular point. He's like, they're like, white man bad. And he's like, why?
I mean, they're not wrong, right?
When have white men ever come to an island and spread disease and slavery? Where'd you get that crazy idea? Anyway.
Which, I mean, to this movie's credit, this movie is horrendously racist in so many ways. Like, I feel dirty for watching it. But they do come out and say, they say it like in caveman speak, like, me no like white man because many years ago, white man come and steal many of our women. I'm like, yeah, okay, so there's a reason. It's not, and then he's like, I'm sure we don't like me, I'm white. Here's what's important to know. These women, it's an island where there's only women. They're from a bunch of different tribes in the area where they send their women to this one particular island
like paradise,
where they all walk around topless except for wearing their leis. The note of interest about this movie is that you kind of just stare at the women all day because their leis keep falling aside. You can see boobs. This is the entire reason this movie exists. This is the entire reason Tim made us watch this movie.
No, it's not.
This movie will spend literally like 4 minutes of the women very slowly tying up an unconscious person because you're kind of just watching. Is that flower going to fall aside? Am I going to see some side boob? Yeah, you will. And that's it.
Yeah. George.
The women are on this island sent by many different tribes because they need to be married. I'm taking it. You're taking too long, Tim.
George.
And because they're made to marry the sea god. There. Boom.
Tim picked this movie like a 15-year-old boy trying to get his hands on a Playboy.
All right, Tim, take over.
You're missing all the, all that the beginning that John pointed out.
The backstory.
The backstory, yes.
The subplot,
yes. But I don't know if you noticed, yes, that they were doing that talk, like white man bad, and he'd say something like, "Well, can I go to the house and eat?" And they're like, "We don't understand English. You go there and eat." And it was. You got to work with me here, George.
I am. I'm trying to move the movie beyond the first 5 minutes.
The movie was bad. So
there was a lot of very cute.
So the basic other plot is there's one woman who's going to be sacrificed to the sea god because they're afraid of earthquakes and aeroplanes.
What's her name? Let's establish it.
Lenny Bruce.
No, Lenny Bruce. I don't think so.
I just got what he's doing. No, that's great. It starts with an earthquake, Tim.
Nani
Maka. That's her real name. Did you guys see that? I looked her up.
Yes.
Yep.
She got fired.
She was the only person of Polynesian descent possibly in this entire movie.
And Stanton never took off his white pants and nice sneakers, which never got dirty
Even when he was diving underwater into the cave of the sea god, this guy still wore his shoes, which led me to think he probably has horrible feet.
So yeah, they were going to kill him, but we have a racist bit where men from another island come to attack and steal the women, and they are all African American.
Yeah.
And
they're all black, and everyone on this island is...
and these African American actors were like, they couldn't get work. All they could get work, was like tap dancing and playing the butler, and the typical stereotypical, African American roles that they would have been offered. This time, they're like, oh boy, this is it, an action feature. This is my big break. Well, guess what?
This was 1962. Right.
So, Stanton is freed from his imprisonment where he's hung upside down.
Oh, so he can.
He says to Nanimaka, "Get me my fire stick," which is his pistol. They go into this chief's hut, which is, by the way, there's only one set in this movie. The Queen, yes, it's a hut, and you pretend the hut's different people's huts. It's two walls of a hut. We don't even see it from the outside.
Right.
He gets the gun and he fucking murders all these guys in cold blood.
Yes.
And he's like, "Well, Queen, I killed them all. You're safe now." And they're like, "Now you must be part of our tribe." The Queen, this movie was not well acted, but the Queen was so obviously reading lines out of a card.
Her eyes were like dark.
You could see her eyes
from left to right. And she was like some sort of, her name was Trine Hovsrud, so I guess she's Scandinavian, and she had that, because first I thought she's got like an Eastern European accent, but obviously she's Scandinavian. She's either Norwegian or Danish, I believe. And yeah, you can see her like eyes shifting from left to right as she's reading.
That was
in
hilarious.
The same monotone the whole time.
Yeah, and this movie, we made it clear these women on this island, they all speak in this kind of weird, they don't understand English, but they're speaking English. Turns out you can communicate them, but they do literally, they refer to themselves in the third person. They say, "Me do this" and shit. Mm-hmm. And even with that halted fake English, this woman could not deliver her lines. And it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he'd say, "Where's the bathroom?" They'd say, "Me no understand. You go use bathroom over there."
Yeah.
Anyway.
"You're going to be the next Ingrid Bergman. I can feel it." It's like, well, maybe not.
So, of course, he falls in love with Naki, who is the woman who's going to be sacrificed to the sea god. And there's your whole drama.
Yeah.
Because at first he's like...
Well, she'll be married to the sea god, but of course it's human sacrifice. Because I don't know if you know, this movie is called Pagan Island.
Right.
And their gods are bad and fake.
Stanton was pretty woke for back then, because he was like...
He actually was, I will say...
I understand your religion wants to sacrifice you. I got to respect,
I got to say, too, for a white guy from 1960, the fact that he didn't say, "There's only one God."
Yes.
And,
yes, there's only one.
He never does that. Even when they get married later, because they have after he discovers a back way into their temple and steals all their jewels, mm-hmm. and then he tells this to Nanimaka. He's like, "Maybe there's a God out there, maybe there's not, but whoever looks down on us, whatever God he may be," he does say he. "I hope he looks upon us as man and wife." And Nanimaka's like, "I love you, Stanton." "No, me love you, Stanton." And then they kiss awkwardly and long. Nanimaka, wow. I don't know if you all caught this, sometimes wore a bra, sometimes didn't.
I noticed.
She was the only one with the only technology in the island. Everyone else was like, "Me no know about bras, just flowers, maybe cover boobs. Who cares?"
And everybody else, the girls were flapping. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Well, Nanimaka, because she is the one who performs the 3 extended belly dance sequences.
Oh my God, I know.
Out. She's like, obviously on set, she's like, "Look, you're going to see something I can't." Everyone's clutching their flowers.
Yeah, between that and that big ass giant clam, and I was thinking to myself the whole movie,
"Wait, the clam!
Something's going to happen with that big ass giant clam." Because they keep putting
we need to explain the clam.
They keep putting the camera on it. I'm like, something's going to happen with this giant ass clam.
He went diving because he
was Chekhov's clam.
Yeah,
like Chekhov's gun. Come on, work with me.
I know what you meant.
All right.
You're talking about that cat in the box. It's either dead or alive at the same time.
That's Alf.
It is not.
Yeah, he eats the cats. And then the last episode, the guy walked out that plays Willie. He's like, I hate you all.
Yeah, but you don't know if he ate the cat.
It's That's like, you know,
nah, he did.
Yeah, and
I checked his stool later.
They're shouting behind him. So we're guessing the reunion show is out of the question. You're damn effing right. The reunion show's out of the question. I never want to see you assholes again.
And just so you know, listeners, there's a big clam under the water. So there's a scene where when he finds himself, Stanton finds himself the only man on the island after he's accepted by murdering all those black guys. He goes, he's like kind of fooling around with the girls. Like he's kissing one. He's like, wasn't that fun? She goes, I had more fun walking. Yeah. But we learned he's actually in love with Nani Maka, but he's probably just like fucking everyone on the island.
All the girls have
probably, but
and he's teaching stuff. He's like,
yeah, but there
are. He goes. Wait. Sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
No, I have something.
Nothing. What I have. Nothing. I have to say is important.
Well, it's important that they live on this island, and he's the one who teaches them diving. He holds rocks and walks on the bottom. He shoots a big fish with a harpoon gun, finds this giant clam, which will play a part later. And he's like, look, ladies, you can actually fish instead of just staying on shore and eating bananas, hoping supermodels come up to you. Yes, Tim.
He was teaching them how to kiss, but he was also teaching them Pat Boone songs. So he was kind of evil. That was his favorite singer.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty sick and twisted.
I'm just sticking that
Tim,
in.
Tim, are you abandoning the Osmonds? Have you moved on? Like now, are we moving? Is Pat Boone before or after the Osmonds?
Oh, way before.
Are you moving back into?
But he's
okay. So we're going back.
Pat Boone was like around the time of Elvis.
But, oh man! So what's next? You're going to be like
he's number 5 on the top 5 villains of the 20th century.
I thought that was you, Tim. Did he bump you off? Is that why you're going for him now?
Bump me off.
You're only number 6 now. You're like,
you've derailed me so much. You're leaving out that he's going to escape with Naki by being sacrificed with her, and being sacrificed means jumping in the water and depending on your goodwill to drown yourself because they just swam away under a cave. And
which is the same cave that he scoped out. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yes.
He was the same cave he scoped out with it's near the giant clam. And through this cave, he discovered this is supposed to be where the sea god lives that she sacrificed to.
Yeah.
That's where he discovers the back door into the sea god's temple, which he fucking loots.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They are sacrificed. I'm doing hand quotes. They spend the night. They marry. He pulls a ring out of this loot. He's like, will you marry me, whatever god? And like presumably they get busy.
The cursed ring.
And he tells her, he's like, look, your God is dead. He's not real. I stole all the money that your people have been given to him. Let's swim out to my boat in the morning and we'll go live among white people where we celebrate Christmas.
I could see the conflict in her eyes.
Yes.
No, she's all like, thank you, Stanton. You have saved me from my idyllic paradise.
Yes. And because I've got to get you back to San Francisco and let my neighbor, who always is wearing the leather singlet and eyeing me up and down, he needs to get the message that I am a straight man. And you are just my ticket to it.
And she signed on not to do any swimming scenes, if you noticed. When they arrived in the cave,
He's like talking off camera. Yeah, I noticed that.
Good job, Naki. Then when they got back in the water, he's like, hold your breath. It's going to be a big swim. And she's not there. You didn't notice
wait. Can we go into spoilers, though?
That wasn't her getting stuck in the clam, I don't think, either.
It wasn't. Oh, because here's the thing. This movie takes a bold stance. After they loot the temple and swim to freedom, I guess an actor who was not Nani Maka is playing Nani Maka, and the same clam we saw before.
Yes.
Her foot gets stuck in that, and she fucking drowns.
Yep, that clam.
It's vengeance of the sea god. He
Yep.
And I was all thinking, I'm going to choose the sea god as my vengeance story. But like the guy himself is like, why did the god take her and not me?
Yeah. Lost his wife.
So, yep.
That clam got revenge. The end.
The clam kills her. He gets her free eventually, I guess.
Clam eats her up. No, I'm kidding. It's like a carnivorous clam. It just chews her to bits. Blood everywhere. Oh no!
Has that ever really been a thing? We've all seen it in cartoons and stuff, in movies like this, where like there's a giant clam. Like, has that ever happened in the history of humanity? Or like,
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
I don't know.
So, then we join the rest of the movie in media res, where he's been recanting his story. He still has the jewels.
Yep, that's the
that
important
he stole,
thing.
but he's like, and they bury Namimaka at sea, and then they weirdly set the boat free.
Yeah, because that's the weird part. He had a woman in that raft, but at the end they were like, 8 days at sea can do a funny thing to a man's brain. Like they didn't believe him.
Yeah,
So
none of that made sense.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just a way.
Was it that they didn't believe him, or that they thought? Was it that it was another 8 days that he was at sea with her dead? Because they said literally 8 days at sea with a dead body will do strange things to your mind.
Right. So
I think he spends 8 days after the initial shipwreck, lands on that island.
Yes. Well.
Or I just figured out, guys. In there, everything happened in the movie, from the shipwreck that we don't see at the beginning to them finding him in the boat, happens in 8 days. So even though there is a dead woman, because they know about the original shipwreck, they're like, we heard there was no survivors. So
yeah. Huh.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's all stupid.
You're thinking too much.
But they do. Like, you're right,
George.
Wait, hold on. Wait,
you're being too.
Was there not really a woman there? Was that all the figment of his imagination?
Well, they buried her at sea, unless that was his imagination.
Yeah, but did they really? Because why did they focus on that boat at the end? The empty boat.
I think the shirtless men in tight white pants are going to have their way with Stanton.
And I think, to call back to a previous episode, I think
they don't want him to be able to escape.
Maybe John's onto something.
No, John, maybe that's your revenge story.
So maybe the movie isn't as straight as we're led to believe.
I did. You, as I said, he never takes those pants or sneakers off.
Yeah.
So there were three. There were these. The girls had these rumors on the island, and I've got their top 3 rumors as to why he wouldn't take his pants and sneakers off.
Oh boy, here we go.
Can't we do this? Oh wait, I'm rubbing my hands together gleefully. It's going to be some classic Tim Hamill boners.
No.
Yep.
So Stanton never took off his white pants or shoes. So the girls had rumors. These are the top 3 rumors.
Let's hear them.
Why?
Wait, can I make a request before you do it?
Yeah.
Can you say it as the women would, so you can, like, with me and...
That's racist.
Come on.
It's so racist.
You can do it in a Minnesota accent. We've been over this, George. You can do it in a Minnesota accent, and that's it.
All right.
I'll try my
Tim,
Jimmy Stewart. I'm jealous of George's Jimmy Stewart. So the top 3 rumors why he wouldn't take his pants off, or pants and sneakers. Number 1.
Well, we know what number 1 is. We know what that is. Come on. No. Okay.
I levitated the humor of this show to a.
Oh, really?
I know.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking.
Oh,
so
finally,
62
weeks later, Tim's finally levitating the humor. Wow, this ought to be good.
So, number 1 reason, or the third reason, if we're counting down, they thought he was embarrassed because he was still wearing his "I Like Ike" underwear. This is 1962.
All right.
Just so you know, he had been president before this.
Pity he didn't have tricky dick underwear. Now that would have been the joke.
Too soon. Number 2, they thought he wouldn't take his sneakers off because he only had 3 toes on his left foot, as he sacrificed his other 4 toes during a wild re-elect Ike party.
I have a question.
Yes,
he had 3 toes.
He had 7 toes.
All right,
he had 7 toes.
Making sure. All right.
Can't you people count? I just want you to take off 2.
Now I'm a freak. All right, let's hear this. The number 1. The number 1 will be the best, of course. That's the way these things work. We're going to be cracking up.
He was embarrassed about the hole in his underpants that would show off the tattoo of his missing toes.
No, it wasn't, George. You were wrong. You were wrong.
I doomed us.
You were wrong on that. You were wrong on that statement before that.
I could use my Minnesota.
Seddy listeners, I wanted to describe Tim sitting there smiling like a cherub, his face beaming with glasses. Just picture little Tim Hamilton. Look at pictures of him online. Just picture him sitting there, like at his kitchen table, deep in thought, writing these, just chortling to himself. Oh, what a rich jest!
What a rich
Can't wait to share this.
This will get him this week. This is my week. I can tell.
That's about it for this movie.
Yeah, that's about it for this movie.
It should have had monkeys because George loves monkeys.
Actually, it is surprising. There was a parrot. Remember at the beginning when he's walking the island after starving for days? Yeah. He's just like, oh, parrot.
Monkeys bring joy to everything. That was like, there was a show that used to be on called Friends. It had a monkey, but they got rid of the monkey, so I didn't watch anymore. So I assume it got canceled.
I've never seen an episode of Friends. I've never seen an episode of Friends.
Well, they had to get rid of the monkey because monkeys are assholes.
Oh,
you know what happened? After that monkey, they tried to put that monkey on Frasier. I don't know if you know that.
Really?
But the monkey kept trying to steal Kelsey Grammer's cocaine, and it became
there you go, cheeky monkey.
Anyway,
is there anything else we need to mention about the movie we just supposedly talked about for revenge purposes?
Does everyone out there understand the plot? He landed on an island of women.
Yeah,
you can see the boobs. He tried to steal one away with their gems. A lot of
boobies.
Let's go to revenge because it's 45.
Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you. I'll get you.
Revenge.
Revenge.
Revenge. One of us will die. One of us will die.
I will not let Cindy take my place. I will have my revenge.
All right, what was the...
who would lead a protest?
Who from this movie would lead a protest?
I'm going to say the big corn-fed. I'm going to say the big corn-fed pagan woman because she's like, look, we're on this vegetarian diet. We're eating fruit and vegetables, and I'm still like a size 18. Can't we just start eating meat? I'm going to start protests. This is doing no good for me. This diet. Let me have a burger.
But is that why she disappeared? Because we only saw her in one scene.
That's right. Yeah, that's
what scene was she in? I don't even remember her.
It was when the African American men were coming on, and he was shooting them, and they were ringing that big gong thing, which looked like a buoy or something. And there's just like this one running away. She's like between two huts, and she just like kind of looks at the camera in the direction of the camera, and she's just like she's big, and then she just like runs off.
My new podcast, Between Two Huts.
I believe she was Pagan Woman number 9.
Okay.
Yes. If you were,
so are we group doing this like we normally do? We're like all.
Well, that's all I got. So
John left us with that. Some dangling meat.
All right. So
did she run off?
She's protesting against vegetarianism.
Well, she's protesting the fact that the vegetarian diet isn't working for her. So why can't we just go out and fish? Why can't we There's got to be a wild boar on that island somewhere.
Well,
Come on.
I'm going to take this baton and run with it. As we know, they didn't even know how to fish in this island until the white guy came and showed up.
Right.
However,
white man bad.
There was suddenly, after her introduction to this movie, shortly thereafter, there was quite a bit of meat introduced into the local ecosystem because Stanton slaughtered those guys from the other island. Now, because these women are apparently all suffering from head injuries and don't understand how to speak in complete sentences, despite apparently knowing English, and don't even know how to fish or hunt, they don't really have any taboos against cannibalism. So she just starts eating people as a silent protest against the healthy vegetarian diet that have been practiced on this island thus far.
Very good.
Tim, take it home.
Yeah. No, seriously, because the women start asking, what happened to those 5 native warriors that he shot on the island? She's like, I don't know.
She burps up a toe. All right, Tim, take it home.
Well, how can I take it any further than that? Come on. So,
come on. That's when the cannibalism started. It begins before that. And it goes from there.
Well, she comes into some conflict where she befriends a monkey that's on the island. And she really loves the monkey's antics. They reenact scenes of
Friends
living in the big city in a big apartment. Yeah, they don't know it's called Friends yet.
Oh,
But she gets really hungry, and she looks at the monkey, and the monkey turns into a chicken leg,
like a Bugs Bunny cartoon,
like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, because she finds out that in eating all this meat and running around the jungle, she also discovered that the island had some wacky weed on it, and she was hallucinating all this stuff. And, her protest.
She hallucinated from marijuana.
She did eat the monkey. Yeah, it was really powerful marijuana on that island.
Man, this island gets better and better.
I took it home.
It's got monkeys. It's got cannibalism. It's got marijuana that makes you hallucinate. Well, who doesn't want to live there?
John left us some dangling meat. George gave us some interesting middle, and then I just spilled it on the floor at the end.
John, how do you feel about Tim referring to your dangling meat that way?
It's not the first time that somebody's referred to my meat as dangling. I'm fine with it.
Just give it a few minutes. It doesn't dangle anymore.
Actually, well, I was going to say it's been a long time since somebody has referred to my dangling meat, so maybe I'm kind of flattered. I don't know.
All right.
Who wants to do the revenge?
Well, my revenge is just short and sweet. So,
all right.
After this movie, they made a sequel. And this woman named Jeanette and her friend Harry land on the island. They're from London. And the women are just really, really angry, and they need to take their revenge. They got to get out of there. They gotta. And you know, in the movie, when the first time they fed him, like she came in, that one, I think she was pagan woman number 5, maybe number 6, I'm not sure. And she came in and she started like making the vegetables, and like she was like cooking that right there in his hut. It was kind of like Japanese hibachi, you know, like you go and they make the food in front of you, you know. Yes. So Jeanette says, you know, this is one of my most loyal employees. His name's Harry, and we run a strip club in London called Vixen's. We used to own a club called Silver Dollars, but that exploded. So she's like, I want to do something more family friendly. And so this woman is cooking, and she's like, you could be my Japanese hibachi chef. I could have you girls dancing hula. You know, you keep your clothes on. I'll even buy you bras, and you can just go, and maybe kids could come in and just be really. Well, suddenly these werewolves start showing up. We're gonna call the club Aloha's. And so
want to get lays? How about that?
Yeah, exactly. You know, get laid. Yeah, something like that. That's their tag. No, that's their tagline. The name of the club.
Better.
The name of the club is Aloha's, and it's like, come get laid. And
come get laid. Nice.
So, but all of a sudden, like these weird guys start changing into werewolves. And she's like, and like they start, like the girls start getting killed. And she's like, oh my God, there are werewolves. So she's like, well, what am I going to do? So she's going to strike back at the werewolves, and she's going to get her revenge on them. So she does like the hibachi chicken and laces it with arsenic. Makes him a little sick, doesn't do anything to him. Then she puts some cyanide in like some shrimp. And, you know, they kind of get, they get like the runs and everything, but it doesn't kill them. So she's like, well, what am I going to do? And then she realizes only silver will kill them. And so she gets out the strip steak and puts that on the hibachi to serve them. And she puts little slivers of silver in it, and they eat it. And of course, it cuts them up. They bleed internally and die. And the name of the movie is Strip Steaks versus Werewolves.
Jeez.
Oh, that was a ride. I liked it.
I was wondering where this was going.
Just stick with me for a while. You know what? Sometimes you can't do it all with an Osmond joke, Tim.
Or a Pat Boone joke, as it may be this week.
Or a Pat Boone joke.
As I strongly suspect it will be.
Well, I have a feeling, though, that I think Tim read something that I read, and this is why he's not doing Pat Boone, or why he's not doing Osmond jokes anymore. I did not realize that the original 4 Osmonds, Alan, Wayne, Merrill, and Jay, before Donnie came on, there were actually 2 older boys, Verl and Tom. And Verl and Tom were both born with severe hearing impairments. So the reasons why they started performing as a barbershop quartet at like local audience in and around Ogden, and then they'd like do it like at their church services. They were trying to raise money so they could get hearing aids for their older brothers. Now Tim is making jokes about them. Tim Hamilton, you are a monster.
That story's not true.
It is true. It's in Wikipedia. It's got to be true.
I heard they had
where does Bobo Osmond fall?
Look up the Osmonds. Look up the Osmonds. Look under early career.
I'm not looking that up. You're not tricking me. You're gonna Rick. What's it called? Rick roll me.
Rickroll.
It'll just be another nudie cutie film y'all get connected to.
No, Tim, that'll be your movie next time you choose. Tim, do you want to go next or should I?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
Cue the music. Bum,
all right.
Bum, bum, bum. Sorry. No, I just need to drink water.
Tim, should I go?
I can edit
so you
it
can
out.
drink all
I can edit it.
All right.
So William Stanton, he returns to Florida after this movie happened, after his whole trauma. He returns to Florida and his sad, lonely life without any true love. No nanny Maka, who he was going to marry. No elevators to ride, as this was Florida, 1962. He daydreamed about his time in the island and the scenes we didn't see when he taught them Pat Boone songs, especially Moody River. That was his favorite song.
Oh, knew it. I knew it was Pat Boone.
In between giving all the girls kissing lessons. But back in civilization, he got a job on a farm. And this farmer had half a dozen daughters. And the farmer said, all these girls are here to serve you except Nanny. She is betrothed to the Wicker Man so that we may have a fruitful harvest. This was Florida. Of course, Stanton fell in love with Nanny and tried to run off with her the night before her sacrifice, but her leg got caught in a freshwater clam while they were swimming across the river. So after this, Stanton realized his life was cursed. He wanted to go back to that island and get revenge on their sea god. So he called his brother in New York, and he asked him to look up a book in one of those things called a library that they don't have in Florida, and find out anything he can about the sea god and how to get revenge on the sea god. What?
They do have libraries in Florida. There just aren't any books in them. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. His brother tells him he can kill the sea god with fire, as it's made of paper mache, which we never mentioned. They did have a totem in the village.
Oh my God! Yeah, the idol was terrible looking. Yes.
Yeah. It was made by Picasso's dead twin brother. He had a twin brother. You know that, right?
Brad Picasso. Everybody knows about Brad Picasso.
He did not live. So, Stanton gets a job flying planes for Fred Express. Fred Express was what was around before. Fed Express. He plans to fly around the Pacific and find that island again. But there's a terrible storm, and the tiny plane is tossed, and they crash on an island that turns out to be Pagan Island. A few guys survive. There's a guy named Wilson and another guy named Adidas, but he likes to have his name pronounced Adidas.
Adidas, yes, Adidas. because he's German.
And they run up to the area where the tiki god used to be, but sadly, Adidas stepped on a poison jellyfish and died while screaming that they were pronouncing his name wrong. And Stanton and Wilson find the tiki statue. It's all been smashed to pieces, and they hear strange sounds coming from the nearby jungle. Stanton tells Wilson to stay by the destroyed totem while he checks it out. And he finds that the women had built instruments, and they were playing that song Stanton had taught them called Moody River by Pat Boone. They were drinking and smoking pot, and obviously have been corrupted
like
by
you do to
Pat
Boone songs.
And rock and roll.
If I had a dime for every time I got high to a Pat Boone song, I'm sorry, Tim, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. He screams, I came to kill the tiki god, he shouted. But the girls told him they destroyed him in the name of rock and roll, and they no longer believe in his lies. Wow. The girls were glad to see Stanton, and they said they were really into the wacky tobacco that they grow on the island and into free love. And Stanton said, well, I'm sad about my wife, Nanny, what's her name, but I'm sure lucky to be stranded here with you girls. And me and Wilson are happy to be here with you. And the girls all asked Stanton what he meant by we. And Stanton said, my friend Wilson's over there by the totem remains. And the girls were horrified and confused that what Stanton was referring to was a ball in the stand with a face drawn on it. The girls shouted,
this sounds familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it, but
his friend Wilson was a soccer ball.
We might get sued.
Not even a volleyball.
We might get sued. Oh, it's a soccer ball, not a volleyball. Okay, then we're fine.
We're good.
Then we're fine.
We're good.
We're fine.
The girls all shouted that the evil ball of the angry tiki god had come. It was foretold it would return with an evil companion if we ever forsook our sea god or forsake. So the girls stabbed the soccer ball named Wilson to death before turning on Stanton and pulling him to the ground like wolves, killing a small deer who were wearing white pants and sneakers, tearing the flesh from his bony frame, which was made of bones. Oh, that didn't make sense.
His bony frame, which is made of bones. Really? I am on the edge of my seat now.
So the ladies rebuilt their tiki god. And the movie's called Pagan Island 2, or Pat Boone Kills Again. I don't know. I had no title for this film.
It's all right. Too.
I have a question. Was Adidas, was he actually a sneaker?
He was a football. They make footballs.
I was football. Okay. Once we had the hidden reveal of Wilson just being a soccer ball, I was like, this could be anything. All right.
You go.
I'm going to go cinematic for this. So
Start
the movie opens.
Should I cue the music now?
The movie opens. We're looking at the same beach that we saw Stanton wash up on his raft at the beginning of the last movie. And there's something rolling back and forth in the surf, but it's not the muscular, white-panted form of Stanton. No, it's the waterlogged corpse of Nani Maka.
Ooh.
They were only a few feet offshore because they had no way of propulsing themselves when they died. And so she just kind of gets washed back up on the shore, and unfortunately her sisters find her. And it's gross, it's like body that's in the water, you don't like it. And they realize that they were wrong to ever trust this white man. First time white men came, they stole a bunch of their sisters and disappeared. Second time they come, the beloved Nani Maka dies, angering the sea god. And all their jewels have been stolen, and I guess there's Pat Boone music on the island now and shit, so they're upset. This civilization, we should mention, there are no men on this island. And these women start training because they are sometimes victimized by raiding groups of troubling racial stereotypes. And they get better and better at their fighting. And something else that we should mention, Stanton, that dude was fucking around. We know that he loved Nani Maka, or so he claimed. But Nani Maka, there's a line where she says, I was sad when I saw you with the other women. He has fucked his way around this island. And several of the women there are heavy with his child. There's an entire generation of new women born on this island who are all the daughters of Stanton. And they begin, as this island gets more and more martial, as they fight harder and harder, they start making weapons out of the coconuts. They start smelting ores. They make metal weapons. They're raising these women to fight, to fear the world outside.
But they can't. But they can't fix a hole in the boat to get off the island. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely not.
That's my Gilligan's Island reference, anyway.
And eventually they create this entire society of warrior women. And one of the daughters of Stanton, she becomes quite the wonder. See what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they make her some bracelets and they make her tiara. And in the 1970s, she goes into man's land. And I guess she's Linda Carter or something.
Well, that's
She seeks revenge on Stanton, her dad, who's living in San Francisco. He's finally come out about his true sexuality. He's bought himself a swanky pleasure palace in the Presidio, or whatever the area that is, with all the jewels he stole from them. And she shows up. She ties him up with her magic lasso and, I don't know, kills him, I guess.
Oh, you're going to end it like that? What? And I don't know. He goes through all this description. He goes, and then it ends with, I don't know. She kills him, I guess. Jesus Christ!
I think the lasso makes you tell the truth. She would tie him up with the lasso, and she'd ask him something embarrassing, like, "Would you wait more than 5 minutes to get up for a bus to go see your friend Chris?" And he'd be like,
"That's a good one. I have a better one." She goes,
"Cut off.
The women on my island tell a legend. Our sea god, who was never named to this, it turns out it is fucking Poseidon. Our sea god talked of a man who came to our island who never took off his pants." And I want to know, what are you hiding beneath your pants?
Yes.
And he goes, I can't tell you. She goes, you have to. You must submit to the lasso. And he goes, it's better I just show you. And he takes off his pants, and we learn the dreadful truth about what he was hiding the entire time. he only had one leg. And his other leg, he walked on his giant malformed penis. Like a leg. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he had elephantitis the whole time.
Oh,
and this movie, it wasn't Wonder Woman 84 where it was going initially. It turns out it's a sequel to The Elephant Man.
Jesus.
I am not an animal. I am a human being.
And he gets killed when Wonder Woman pulls his penis off and throws it into the sun. Yeah, it's pretty graphic.
George,
wow.
Come on. You gotta work harder.
Yeah.
You gotta work harder than that.
Oh, she's I
think I posit I worked harder than everybody.
You know what? I was gonna, when I was standing waiting for the bus, this maybe go see Chris. I was
at what point was this? To minute 2?
Minute 3.
Minute 3. Okay.
I was like, I'm getting
also,
ready.
Tim, there are apps that will tell you to the minute when the bus is arriving.
I refuse.
You could have sat in your house in comfort and just.
I refuse to buy into that black magic.
So what he's saying is he had no intention of ever going to see Chris. He's like, no, I'm going to get myself a bunch of bananas, and tonight is the night I am going to meet Alec Week. Whatever the fuck.
We did learn from this story, John, that Tim and Chris have a secret trivia night thread that they don't share with the rest of our friends.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, George, were you invited?
I was only invited to this once where I was humiliated by one of Chris's neighbors reading aloud 1-star reviews of my books from Amazon.
No.
And I've never been invited back again. Yeah, I think it was actually a hatchet job. I think they set me up.
They're just jealous.
I think they were trying
They're
to
just
destroy
jealous,
me.
George.
George.
They're just jealous.
Yep.
George, I have to admit something to you. The person that did that was me. I was wearing a big nose and a mustache, and glasses, and a wig.
Shit.
You didn't realize.
And the person I thought was you was just a pile of dirty laundry next to me. You confused me again, Tim.
Wait, that wasn't Groucho Marx reading out my 1-star Amazon reviews?
What, wiggling his big fake cigar?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with anything, but I wanted to mention it because John mentioned up front the captain had an eye patch. Did you all notice he actually had a pretty gruesome scar down the side of his face?
I'm wondering if he really was missing an eye. I think
that was real.
I think it was
because this
real.
movie didn't have the budget.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. That guy was my best friend.
Yeah.
But George, before you move on, I'm trying to hold this thought in my head. It's flying away.
Oh Jesus!
When I was waiting for the bus, I said, I know George is going to write a Wonder Woman sequel for that movie. I got to not do that because that was my first instinct. That's all.
I mean, this was basically the setup of Wonder Woman.
So
it's a man, a sailor or whatever army guy washes up on an island full of only women. And well, except for Wonder Woman doesn't typically drown at the end of her story.
Right. Well, I'm gonna originally my revenge sequel was going to be something about Stanton's illegitimate children, and I just couldn't pull it together. George, you did a much better job than I would have.
I would argue I did not pull it together, but thank you.
He should have had 12 children and
come on,
2 children.
Come on, George. Strip steaks versus werewolves. Come on.
All right.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Do we have any mail, Tim?
I checked. We did not get a letter this week.
I got a text from my cousin Matt.
Okay.
Oh, what's Matt saying?
What's Matt up to?
Well, at the time of this recording, the most recent episode, which dropped 2 days before, was the aforementioned Strippers versus Werewolves, in which we read Matt's previous letter where he comments on, well, I don't want to bring it up. We've been so good, but Tim had gone through a lengthy period of infatuation with the greatest villain of the 20th century. Matt kind of spun a story out of that, but we did spotlight a lot on my cousin's last name of being Durante, with the two of you offering opinions that he was perhaps in fact related to, or maybe even Jimmy Durante, who was apparently narrated Frosty the Snowman, which I had forgotten that part.
He had a show.
So here's what he wrote to me. I do love Christmas, George. I've been found out. Jimmy Durante needs to change his name every 50 years and start over. Probably should take a new last name at some point, but I'm so attached to it. So there, confirmation. My cousin, Matt Durante, who looks nothing like Jimmy Durante, and who, in fact, I remember as a small child, is, in fact, the ageless actor Jimmy Durante. So now we all know.
Now, this is the jig's up, Matt. Okay.
I have lots of questions.
Now we have to kill him with fire.
I want to know all about the filming of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Got a lot of questions.
All right. When he texts me about that in another month or so, we'll learn about that.
How did he like working with Buddy Hackett?
Any other questions for him?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. Oh, yeah. Oh, what, Tim?
Wait, no. Wait.
Tim, this is quite a roller coaster ride we're going
on.
on.
Oh my gosh, my stomach's in my throat.
We've talked too long, I know, but postscript, I sent this to you. Previously on the show, John and I watched a movie called Crybaby Killer. It was Jack Nicholson's first movie. The woman who was the main girl in that movie, I found her online just by accident because I went down a Mickey Rooney hole. She was like Mickey Rooney's sixth wife, and she was found murdered in his house with a guy that she had been having an affair with.
Oh, Mickey.
You never heard of this? I never heard. He was married.
You sent me the story.
20. He's been married like 22 times.
23.
Wasn't he married to Dorothy?
What's that?
Oh, he was married. No, he wasn't married to Dorothy. Judy Garland. No, he wasn't.
No.
Holy shit! Though he was married to Ava Gardner.
He was married to Ava Gardner. He was married. I think he was married to Lana Turner too. Or am I wrong?
This guy's a lot of wives.
The wives. Some of them.
He had 8 wives.
Yes, right. He was just like, you're pretty and young, and I got lots of money, and you're coming with me.
The Tim Hamilton story.
I got money. You're coming with me. You've been Hamiltoned. What's it called?
I like Hamilton.
Oh my god. So is that was that the line you said to Jean when you first met her? Hey, you want to get Hamiltoned? What? No,
wow.
What?
What a terrible line.
I think we have to cut everything out of this entire episode.
Anyway,
the only thing we can keep is the giant clam. That's it. It's going to be a 3-minute episode, and we'll blame it on the Writers Guild strike.
Yeah.
You know what? George was saying how we were all getting in these ruts, and I actually picked a movie without a serial killer, I think.
Oh my God.
The movie is called 5 Minutes to Love. It's a 1963 American drama film.
Uh-oh.
Now, do not get it confused with 5 Minutes to Live, which is a movie from 2 years earlier starring Johnny Cash and Mel from the TV series Alice. This is called 5 Minutes to Love. Now, when you pull it up on Tubi, it's going to pull up as The Rotten Apple. Don't worry, it's the same movie. It stars King Moody, who we remember from Teenagers from Outer Space, even though there were no teenagers there. It also stars Miss Rue McClanahan, perhaps best known for playing both playing in 2 series of B. Arthur. She played Vivian on Maude, and she played Blanche on The Golden Girls. And this is one of her early work from 1963. Right. 5 Minutes to Love, originally known as The Rotten Apple, and also known as It Only Takes 5 Minutes. Well, we've all been there, haven't we?
Is this also known as 2 Minutes Over Tokyo?
No, it's not, Tim. Okay. No, it's not.
Tim, is there any other movie titles with minutes in there you can mention?
Are we going to be going through every title of every movie that has the word minutes in it until you get a laugh?
Savage.
No, that could be like a whole episode.
You know what? I can't even remember that movie now. That's the Subway movie. Damn it, you talked.
The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Damn it, you've remembered it. Yeah, that one. It's not.
That was one of my favorite movies. The original movie with Walter Matthau. I don't think I ever saw the Denzel Washington version. No, I love that movie because I remember like they showed it on TV, and like I would because we were living in the Bronx, and I'd be like getting in the subway and thinking maybe today's the day. Maybe today's the day.
Today's the day. You'll see.
Today's the day we're going to be taken over by domestic terrorists.
Nope,
I know my mom's going to mouth off at him, and it'd be pow. She'll be out of here.
Oh, jeez. All right.
That got dark.
Email us.
All right, yeah.
At Seddy Bimco with an E at gmail.com. We're on Instagram. Just look up Seddy Bimco. Honk your horns. We're on Mastodon.
Must be Chris.
We're everybody. Give us, Chris, give us a 5-star review on all platforms. Come on. If you do that,
please, we're begging you.
I will wait at least 6 minutes for a bus.
I couldn't even bother to wait 5 minutes for the bus, but please give us a 5-star review.
When I stopped going to trivia, they won, so I'm never going back.
Yeah, but did they read out 1-star Amazon reviews of your work? You know, I mean.
Anyway,
that sucks. I'm sorry. That's just wrong on so many levels.
That was the consensus. It's become a topic of ongoing amusement in our friend group. We just always
Chris's friend.
That guy we call 1-star guy.
1-star guy.
Chris, I have to tell him never to listen to this.
This is definitely how we test him to see if Chris listens. Like, this is like we should just call this episode the Chris episode.
I wanted to have a new segment called "I Am Enraged." We got to do that.
All right, what is it?
Just whatever, because this week
whatever gets us angry.
Wait,
I forgot to tell you.
Isn't that segment I'm enraged? Isn't that basically every time George shows up? George
George is so angry.
So now we're just gonna give it a title. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Actually,
this one time,
can I say that? I think that's
so
a good idea. Instead of us telling weird stories that like sometimes Tim sends us and sometimes whatever, what if we do say one thing we're angry about each week? Because it is a revenge themed podcast.
That's what because I have one.
So we start like this week I'm mad about this, and it could be, and we could. I mean, eventually we'll devolve into 3 old men yelling about like, this kid's on my lawn.
What is it about English people driving on the left-hand side of the road, dagnabbit?
Why do they call taxis lorry? Learn to speak English. Oh, wait. All right, should we end this thing?
Why can't I find diapers to fit me? What?
Why can't you find what, Tim?
Tim can't find diapers to fit him. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked over it.
Wow, Tim, call for help.
It won't take. Let me just tell you, I was enraged because I like to buy granola, and I always look at the granola that's the least sugary. So I get this one called apple and something. I pour out some of it, and I see bright, colorful things in it. And I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? What got into the granola? It was apple, spice, and surprise granola. They were gummy worms.
Oh, no.
Who wants gummy worms in their granola?
Probably a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old.
And
who also can't find diapers to fit him.
No, that's what I have in common. 5-year-old.
I like the idea. We call this new segment "Why I'm Enraged" better than "This is what I have in common with a 5-year-old."
Yes.
But I do think that's a good idea. If we move that up front, that would be a good way to start it off each week.
That would be, yeah.
All right, cool. Because I'll probably be mad next week.
You think?
Although,
tell me now how long.
It's a little less certain because it's What?
I was gonna say, tell me how long this movie is. I'll tell you if I'm enraged already.
Oh, my movie. I'm sorry. It is an hour and 25 minutes.
Ooh. Now I'm enraged. I know what I'm going to be enraged about next week.
But if you're anything like me, sometimes you can just fast forward through the slow bits there. I admitted it.
I already have a sequel for 5 Minutes to Love.
Is it called 6 Minutes to Love?
6 Minutes to Hate.
I'm hopping off right now.
7 minutes to Chris's house, and that's too many minutes.
That's 2 minutes 3 minutes too long for Tim Hamilton.
Next time, wait for the bus for 7 minutes for Chris. That's the least you can do, man. Come on.
Can I stop now? Should I stop? So long.
Yeah, I think this would be a good place to stop. Everybody have a great week.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
Man, we're fast.
Do you have a joke to tell before we go into the song? Because I don't have one. Aren't you happy?
You sent us a story about Mickey Rooney. Why don't you talk about that?
Oh, that's a big story.
I don't know why you sent it. I'm like, are we that old? We're talking about Mickey Rooney.
We'll explain. John is that old, and I am that old.
Oh, damn. That was savage that you said John first, throwing him under the bus.
Well, I am actually like 2 months and 1 day older than Tim. So yes, I am the oldest.
Oh shit! I'm the baby of this podcast. Change
You're
my diaper.
the baby. You're the baby. You're like 17 days older than my youngest brother, George.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw
Shove him
you.
around and take his lunch money.
His what? Naked lunch money?
No, why do you have to bring in nudity, Tim?
That's what you said.
You're sick.
Naked Lunch, the movie, the book.